Let's create some curtains using the cloth simulation system. Let's start out with a basic plane. This is going to be our piece of fabric that we're going to make into a curtain. So let's say it's about 2 meters 40 centimeters high and 4.5 meters wide. So something like that would be used for a large window. To do a good cloth simulation, you need to increase the segments. Otherwise, there's just not enough information in this geometry to simulate anything. So let's increase the segments, maybe 200 by 100, 150. I mean, the other way around, 150 by 200, 250. All right, that's good. I think that's going to be enough. And I also want some more detail in this upper level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an HSDS modifier and selectively subdivide my upper polygons a bit more. So I'm just going to select this area here and press the subdivide button to add more geometry there. As you can see, it quadruples the amount of polys in this area. Okay, that's good. And now we can add a cloth modifier. Okay. And let's change our plane to cloth and give it a cotton preset. I'm not going to mess with any of the settings, I'm just going to use the regular preset. Alright, so that's the basic piece of cloth. Now we need a helper object that will compress, bringing the cloth with it. For that, I'm going to start with a line. Move it somewhere over here and give it a rectangular profile. Okay, let's make a larger area here. It's going to be compressed. Maybe something like this, and check in perspective view. No need for it to be so wide. Something like that might work. Okay, and now we need to animate the subject like this. So first let's turn the auto key, then let's move to, let's say, frame 70 or so, and just scale it down horizontally to compress it like this. Right, and it automatically creates the animation, and that animation is exactly what is going to create the curtain effect. Okay. So now we need to attach this box to our cloth simulation. But first, it's still not ready. First we need to collapse it to editable poly and increase the number of these horizontal segments. This is very important, otherwise it's just not going to have enough information to create a quality simulation. So increase the number of segments. I think something like this will work. I'll try it out and see how it looks. Okay? And now let's set up a group of vertices that we're going to attach to this helper object. So press 1 to enter the sub-object mode. And select some areas like this. Select some of them and leave some vertices between them unselected. Try to space those selections evenly and just go over all the length of the fabric and keep making these selections. This way it's gonna look a bit more realistic than if we just selected the whole rectangular area that's beneath the helper object. That could work too if you're in a hurry, but this will look a bit better. Alright, now that you have the selection ready, let's deselect a bit from the top. A bit too much. And let's deselect something from the middle. Okay, like that. And let's make the selection into a group. So just press the Make Group button. And now we want to attach this group to this box. Okay, so first let's go to Object Properties and make sure the box is added to our simulation. And set to Collision Object. Okay. And now we can go back to our group and click on it right here and then choose the Surface mode. And now you have to click on the box to attach it. Okay, good. I think we are ready to run the simulation. I'll just save it first, just in case something goes wrong. And once you're ready to run the simulation, we can turn on the self-collision. This is going to give a better quality result, and check intersections as well. I'm going to set the self-collisions to 1. Right, and once you're ready, you can turn on the simulation by pressing the Simulate button. And now just wait until it's finished. Okay, so after 10 minutes I decided to stop the simulation and see what we have. If you run the time slider, you can see the whole progress. For example, if you want a wider curtain without so many folds, you can pick a spot that has a result like this, or if you want a tighter result, you can scrub forward and pick something more like this. Okay, so once you decide which look you want to achieve, well, let's say I like this, you can go ahead and run the local simulation for a while, just to relax it into a more natural position. So let's just wait for this to straighten out. Okay, once you think it's ready, you can stop the simulation. Just press the Escape button or click the Simulate button again. And here's our result. I'm not particularly happy with these sides, so here's a technique you can use. You can Shift plus move the curtain to the side, make an instance, and collapse the editable poly. And now let's say I want to stop my curtain over here, so I'm going to select one of these vertical edges, loop it, and delete. And now you can delete the element you don't need on the side. And same for these edges here. and just clean up the sides like this. Okay, looks pretty good, I think. If you want a more straight look with finer creases, you can do another thing. You can make a copy and let's delete everything up to these more detailed creases. For example, I'm gonna select this edge loop, delete it, and delete the element below it. Now select this lower edge loop and Shift plus move it down to extrude it like this. And let's add the smooth modifier. So first let's add the poly. I'm going to add some more detail here. I can do that by connecting these edges. I don't want the grid as tight as on this upper level, but maybe like $50 or $70 subdivisions. Okay, let's say 70. And now we want to get rid of the faceting. We can do that by adding a smooth modifier and enabling the auto smooth. So at the moment this upper transition looks a bit weird, it's a bit too straight and doesn't look too natural, so we can do that. We can fix that by running another cloud simulation. Okay. So let's say we're gonna add another cloud modifier. Okay, and now select these uppermost vertices and we're gonna freeze them in place. You can do that by making a group and setting it to the drag mode. And now when you run a simulation, these vertices will not go anywhere and they will stay exactly where they are right now. Okay, so change the object type to cloth. Let's give it, let's say polyester pressed this time. See how that looks. And just relax it by running the simulate local. This should straighten out this area on the top. It looks much more natural already. Okay. And once you're satisfied with the result, you can stop the simulation. And there's your finely creased curtain. Okay. So this was the basic straight curtain. Let's collapse it to editable poly for now. And we're gonna create one that is curved like this, collected in a bunch over here. And it goes like that. And I think we can make it from this model here. I'm gonna make a copy. And okay, so first I'm gonna delete some parts of it to make it a bit more narrow. So let's say we're gonna select an edge loop like this, delete it, and delete one of the elements like this. Actually, let's delete this one. Okay. And now we want to animate another helper object to create this curved look. So for this we're going to use a box. Let's not make it too high. Check from the top and make sure it has enough width to cover the whole cloth object, but not particularly much more, like this maybe. And let's make it a bit shorter. All right. So to find out how you should animate this, you can go to your window, take your curtain, and try to grab it and deform it so to make a nice curve. So if you try that, you will see you have to drag a bit lower on this side, which you want to lift up and create the curve for. And you can bring it up higher here. Okay, so this could be our starting position. Let's enable auto key. And let's move to the frame 100. Reduce the width, so like this. And lift it up a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna move it downwards slightly like this. Maybe rotate a bit less. Okay. I think this is gonna work. And I also want to scale it down this way on the last frame like this, so it kind of compresses it vertically as well. So that's going to be the helper object animation. And let's add some more segments to the helper object. So first turn off the auto key, and let's add like something like this, just so it has enough reference points to work with. Okay, and I'm also going to subdivide this area here to create more detail. So just use the HSDS modifier again. Select your face polygon subobject, and with the lasso tool select the area you want to subdivide. Okay, and press the subdivide button. Okay, I think that's gonna be fine. And add the cloth modifier. First, let's set up our cloth object as some basic cotton. And then I'm gonna add my box and set it as a collision object. Okay, good. Alright, and now we're going to turn off the self collisions and check intersections to see the preview faster. And we need to attach some vertices to this animated object. So first I'm going to freeze the stop part so it doesn't get distorted. So make group and set it to drag to keep it in place. And now let's select some of the vertices and we want to attach to the helper object. So selection doesn't need to be too perfect. Maybe something like this. So create a group and set it to surface and select your box. Actually, it looks like now there's some sort of a glitch sometimes when you add a collision object and you set it to collision object, it doesn't confirm it when you click the OK. So you have to go in again and double check if it's set to collision object. So this can cause some side effects, like you want to assign the group to a surface but you can't click on it because it's not set to collision object. So double check that if you get this problem. Right, once we fix that, we can attach it to the surface. Okay, I'm gonna save the scene again, just in case anything goes wrong. Right, and let's run the simulation. Okay, once you see the result, you can decide if it's gonna work for you or not. So I think it might be a bit weird at the moment, in this part especially. So let's delete the simulation. Okay, and modify our animation a little bit. Okay, go to your frame 100, set up, enable the auto key mode. And I want to move the subject down a little bit and maybe rotate it like this a bit. Right. So now that we have changed our animation, I think it's gonna be fine. And I can run the final simulation by going to my cloth object, enabling self collisions, check intersections. And now I can just press the simulate button and wait for it to finish. Go make some coffee or something like that. And here's our final result. I think it looks pretty good. Now let's make a copy, actually an instance. Collapse to editable poly. And using the FFD 4x4 modifier, slightly modify the shape. Okay. And I think this looks good. Right, and now we just need to create something over here. Maybe let's start with the line. Some sort of a loop that holds the fabric. Okay. Let's make it much thinner. extend it higher like this. Okay. Now let's collapse editable poly. Modify the shape a little bit. And turbo smooth it. Right. Let's group the thing together and maybe scale it a bit larger vertically. Mirror to make the other side, and there's your curtain. Okay, so that's how you create curtains using the cloth modifier and some helper objects. Takes some time to run the simulations, but the results I think are pretty good.